Now, ever since President Trump took office, he's been working to fulfill what he said he would do while out on the campaign trail, which includes cracking down on illegal immigration. And as we know, one of his efforts has hit a roadblock in the court system. Our political psychologist, Dr. Bart Rossi, with us today, talking more about that ruling, the immigration restrictions, what it means for the president.
Right.
We're glad you're here with us. As a political psychologist, there's a lot of psychological implications here in what's going on.
I frame this out as a psychological conflict, as we call it as psychologists, as an approach conflict. He has to approach immigration because he made it the biggest issue in his campaign, and he's running on that even as president, okay? But he also has to approach it from the standpoint that it's got to be believable. He has to make this presentation that this is acceptable to the American people. A ban, but a ban on nations where no one has really come over here and caused a terrorist attack, that's an issue for a lot of people. On the other hand, on the positive side, he's focusing on security, so he gets some credit for that with his supporters. So it's a real conflict for him right now, and he has to go down this road of trying to be believable and acceptable. And also, I bring in the wall in this whole thing. When you talk about immigration, now we have the wall.
Yeah, and this is he promised he would do these things. The executive
Right.
orders help get them done. But what do you make of the president's reaction at times when he has lost in the courts?
Well, the president has a unique personality that we've described here often as the authoritarian personality. And this type of personality doesn't really like to take any kind of defeat. Now, mind you, 4 of the judges, the first judge and then another one on the appeals court, 2 of the 4 were Republican appointees. So the psychology of this is really not working well for him. He needs to come up with a new strategy to make this all work. And now with the wall issue, I wonder how Americans are going to understand this whole situation of spending $20 to $50 billion for a wall that alienates a whole country, Mexico. Maybe folks liked the rhetoric during the campaign, but now it's reality.
And immigrant families, I'm talking about running scared or quickly moving into the U.S. or moving north. So there's a psychological impact to them through all this kind of debate where everything's up in the air.
Yeah, and it seems like, to your point, it seems like we're more and more divided on this whole point. And it's the president's job to make this more acceptable. And I think it's going to be a rough road for him to do that. I mean, how does he present himself as a uniter when, in fact, he's really alienating a lot of folks in the country? And I think a lot of folks who voted for him thought that maybe he'd moderate. We talked about the pivot here. I don't see a pivot happening. I think that his personality is very entrenched, and it's going to be going down this road of Trump and Trump world the way he sees it.
And we saw, I think, a learning curve at the beginning of this administration. The way this whole order was rolled out sort of caused chaos, problems, questions. It wasn't very smooth, and a lot of first presidents don't always get things right just out of the gate.
That's true, and he surrounded himself with some folks that have kind of messed things up a little bit. I mean, he's gotten off to a rocky start. His message has not been really clear. It hasn't been clarified. I think they're floundering a little bit. You know, you have to give a new president some chances here, obviously. It's not going to be perfect. You know, it's not a perfect world, a perfect president, or a perfect situation. But nonetheless, he has to come up with enough that makes this acceptable in terms of the immigration plan and the wall. And I think that what he's doing so far is questionable. And I think he's got a lot of Republicans like Lindsey Graham and McCain who really don't like this. They don't like the way this is going. So he needs to change course here.
The debate is far from over.
That's right.
All right, Dr. Rossi, thanks for coming in for your insight. We appreciate it.